SMD Law is the official law firm of the Spartan Nation. Check them out on the interwebs at smdalaw.com or at 866-529-3537. No matter where you are in the state of Michigan, Upper Peninsula, Lower Peninsula, it doesn't matter. They have an office near you. So whether you need to send a letter to an annoying neighbor, or you're a criminal and you need defense, maybe you just have problems with elder law, check them out, smdalaw.com today. The official law firm of the Spartan Nation. Call them first, then you act.
Welcome back, Spartan Nation Radio. It's now time for the state of Michigan State football. Last week we deviated a little bit, talked about the state of the Big Ten. Wow, that went over big. Let's bring in Spartan Nation senior writer Johnny Shop. Johnny, how are you?
Pretty good, Hondo. At this time of the year in the South, we've got the Big Ten Media Days that started on the 15th. That is kind of a mark.
You mean SEC, right?
Down here. Yep, I mean SEC Media Days. I'm already jumping the gun. SEC Media Days are really the first activity of the college football season. They also signify, honestly, it's the close of the summer in the South really begins after the July 4th holiday. You got another week or two at most before high school and younger football seasons, practices begin, cheerleading, other fall sports begin. So it's kind of a page turner, and the folks down here get pretty excited that SEC Media Days kind of kick off the season. But for the rest of the country, further north, further west, it is an indication that we're not around the corner, but we are fast approaching people getting ready to make some plans to get in place for fall camp.
John, can Mark D'Antonio say anything to excite you at Big Ten Media Days, or is it only going to be show me?
Yeah, I actually think he can say something to excite me, and it's something that I've pointed out before, and there's at least an indication they've got the message at Michigan State, and that is we're not going to have any quarterback be a captain of any other Michigan State football team as long as I'm here. Reason being, that position has such an inherent leadership capacity and requirement to it. When you're playing at Michigan State, playing for championships in the Big Ten, the East, and we played in the playoff, there's such a leadership component to that. We're not going to be adding any extra pressure, any extra demands on what's already there. So we will not have any other quarterback be a captain at Michigan State University, and that's why none of them are here this week at Media Day. He said that and laid it out once and for all. I think it would actually alleviate pressure on both, if not more, the quarterbacks that may be competing to play this year. I think it would set them up better for success than having to not address the issue of why is a quarterback not here and what about this captain situation once they get to it. That actually would get me excited.
Mark D'Antonio did send a message, though, not bringing Brian Lewerke this year, didn't he?
I think so. And I think he sent a message to everybody. Hopefully it's a message sent in conjunction, big word, conjunction with offensive coordinator Brad Salem, that the quarterback position is uncertain at this time and that they're actually going to play the best player, the player that produces the most, whether somebody gets injured, whether somebody has, just gets stuck in a funk, whatever. So I think it's a pretty loud message that there is no quarterback there, and I think it's an indicator of what I hope is the case. Look, when you're 116th in total offense, everything needs to be reevaluated and reset. There's no reason to put any pressure on anybody by trotting them out there to Big Ten Media Day and facing the line of questions that they would expect to face coming off the 116th total offense rating.
I totally agree with you. John, what can you hear from the players that would excite you to hear from the three defensive players that are going?
I think there's an urgency and a hunger that you'd like to hear from them. It is good when you hear guys say we need to get back to what this program has been known for and built on. The reason I say that is not for complacency, but because there's enough of a track record that people know, hey, we've got something to live up to here. I would like to hear them express that they kind of know they let 2018 get away from them, and they want to really do everything, turn over all the rock, push the rock as many ways and as many times as they can to make the most out of 2019. Because whether your team is undefeated or whether they're 7-6, one of the most enjoyable things about watching your team, whoever it is, and one of the best things I would imagine about being part of one of those teams is when you make the most of the season and what you have, whether that's 7-6 or whether that's undefeated. What hurts fans and what hurts players and programs is when you underachieve. Last year, Michigan State did not get anywhere near what they could have out of the team that they had. So I do think they should recognize that, and I hope to hear that they are really excited and making a final push to position themselves for really serious business and getting back in the mix in the Big Ten East again in 2019.
The legend himself, the great John Schaap. John, you saw my War Room article that came out this week. I think it was very telling when a potential captain on this team talked about how much they like Brian Lewerke, but they felt he was incapable of leading from the rear, meaning if the team got down and the pressure was tight, they didn't think that Brian could respond to the pressure. It wasn't personal. It's just what they thought. What did you think of those telling quotes?
Well, I think that that's the reality of college football today at the top level. And if you want to be a big boy program, you're going to have to deal with that from top to bottom, from coaches through player 105. Let's just look at the best programs in the country as an example. At this time last year, all the press media down here Clemson way was talking about Kelly Bryant. Trevor Lawrence was a known commodity. I mean, he was known to be coming in here as the top quarterback recruit in the country. But who would have thought it would go down like it did with Kelly Bryant leaving that team and with Trevor Lawrence taking the reins all the way to the national title? So in reality, that is college football today. If you can't handle that, you've got to go to another place. We're going to see Jacob Eason starring for the Washington Huskies this fall. I believe starring. I think he's got a fantastic future, but look what he did in his road to get there, leaving Georgia after getting injured and getting replaced by Jake Fromm. This is the reality of the sport at this time. If you can't understand that your quarterback can be replaced and may need to be replaced very, very quickly at the top level of the sport, you're playing the wrong game these days. So that is a telling quote that tells me that the players understand the reality of college football today and the urgency that you need to produce. You're not going to get away with lackluster quarterback play and beat many teams. You just need to look last year to what happened to Michigan State. So I hope the coaches get it as well. Michigan State's got enough options at the quarterback position that they should be able to find one that's going to work really well. That could be the guy that starts game one, or it could be the guy that's not even really on the map yet. Again, just look at what happened last year at Clemson and in the past at Alabama in the title game. This is a different game and a different sport. And perhaps Michigan State football gets that now here in 2019.
John, what about the quote from one of Mark D'Antonio's on-field coaches who said to me, if we can just get a top 50 offense, hell, a top 70 with our defense, this team could be rocking and rolling in the Big Ten. It was pathetic. Your thoughts?
I think that is the reality. It's literally the reality. When you see some of these preseason predictions coming out, you're seeing other people predicting that Michigan State may be a double-digit win team, and that's why it is the case. The defense is so good. It's going to be so fantastic in the interior line and up the middle, I think, this year. And the special teams is expected to be only better as they completely have rehabbed themselves and should take another step forward this year. That is the reality. And that's what people are looking at with Michigan State from a broader perspective in the Big Ten and nationally. If you could get an offense that's in the middle third, you're going to have a team absolutely competing in the Big Ten East again. They're going to compete. If somehow you had a remarkable improvement, they went from 116 to somewhere in the top third, which would be inside of 40, then you'd be looking at a team that's probably looking to they're probably looking to play for a playoff bid.
I just thought it was fascinating, though, those two quotes in the War Room from a potential captain and an on-field coach. I think it really lets into the frustration there was with the offense.
It sure points to it, and we saw it, whether it was on Dave Warner's face in post games or whether it was throughout different spaces in the football team. And then to go out there at that bowl game and do what they did there was really bad. It suggested that we don't get it yet. So it's time to show, like you mentioned a few minutes ago, yes, it's time to show Spartan Nation that you get it and that you're not trying to. It's not an attempt to win ugly, but look, you got to be who you are. Last year, Michigan State football didn't understand who they were, and they never got their hands on it, and they got served the reality of what they got. If they don't get it again this year, as I said in the past on this show, it's going to get loud and boo city at that Arizona State game. If they don't get it before then, they're going to hear about it on that afternoon.
I agree with you. John, is that Arizona State game just absolutely critical? I mean, if Michigan State struggles, they're in for a world of hurt, are they not?
Yes, they are. And they've got a significant talent advantage, I believe, over Arizona State. But I don't think they have necessarily a coaching advantage. We haven't really seen it yet, but we know Arizona State has a formula to hang with Michigan State, and they've got fantastic coaches. So you can't expect that they're going to make some kind of mistake and not put the little Sun Devils in the best position to win. The time that game kicks off is an advantage to Arizona State. It's no advantage to Michigan State, as we saw last year in the reverse. And if the Michigan State offense doesn't show up on that day on national TV in a game that's not a featured game, but it's going to get attention nationally, you're going to hear a lot of boos and or see some emptying seats at Spartan Stadium. They got to get it before then. I think that they can, but they got to understand that they got to get it. Otherwise, they're going to get exposed, and people are going to look and say, that looks like another year. This looks like the same team as last year. That they just don't get it.
John, last question. We're up against a hard break, but I have to ask. Mark D'Antonio, I have said all offseason, I believe, made a critical error not making Dave Warner, Mark Staten, and other demoted coaches available. They are going to get asked about their demotions. I know that I'm going to ask. I know other media are, because I think they're very germane. How do you coach when you've been demoted? We're going to talk to them about it. They're not going to be easy. Again, I think Mark D'Antonio made a critical error, John, in not making Warner, Staten, and demoted coaches available after he made the demotions, and even putting guys who were promoted up there to talk. He didn't do that. He went into Fort Schembechler. Those coaches are all going to get asked. I know I'm going to ask, and others have, because we've talked about it. And he's going to bring next year into this year rather than being optimism. It's going to start with some negativity. I think it was a critical mistake by Mark D'Antonio. It's his right to do it. It's his program. But critical. Agree or disagree?
Agree. They better have one answer basically set up and everybody on the same page. If they don't, they could get you could unravel the string there a little bit more than is needed. So hopefully they are prepared. It is unconventional. It doesn't look like a good idea, so they better have something to back it up to make it look like it was a smartest idea all along.
I agree. He is Spartan Nation senior writer, the great Johnny Shop. As you know, during the season, he writes once a month, the outlook moving forward. His articles, the first one will be out the end of August before the first game. John, people are looking forward to it. I hope you are.
I can't wait. It's always fun, and there is some business to be done this year with Spartan football, and I can't wait to see him pulled off.
We'll be right back.
Him pulled off.
We'll be right back.